Did Jeff say he was gonna have some new jokes for us?
Well, I saw Jeff and Wendy walking yesterday, I think. And he said, he reminded me, he said, 7 o'clock tomorrow. And I said, yep. And okay, Mary Lisa wants new jokes. So no loading out jokes.
I was gonna just repeat along with them, like you know, at a concert, you want to sing along with them.
All right, Jesse, roll call.
Here. Then
Here.
Schmidt,
Here.
Peterson, Bishop. Here.
Thank you very much. Call us to order at 7 p.m. Opens Meeting Act is on South Wall under reading enjoyment. There's a copy of the city council packet. Council chamber, and it is on the counter by the copy major, which has the copy in it. Please leave the binder or return the binder to the counter per the open meeting. The city of Grant, I already did that one. Mayor and the city reserve the right to enter into closed session at any time during the meeting in accordance with the Open Meeting Act. Even though the closed session may not be indicated on the agenda, it is the intention of the mayor and the city council to take up the items on the agenda in the order presented. However, the mayor and the council reserve the right to take up matters in different orders to accommodate schedules. The city of Grant further reserved the right to adjust the order of the item listed in. Anyone wishing to speak during public comment may be limited to 3 minutes per person with a limit of 2 individuals per comment. Please come to the podium and state your name for the record and the agenda item you wish to speak to. Alrighty. Everyone get a chance to review the agenda?
Yes. I move to accept the May 28th, 2024 proposed agenda.
Second.
Andrew moves, Sam second, that we accept the May 28th, 2024 proposed agenda. Any discussion? Kimberly, how do you vote?
Yes.
Sam?
Yes.
Andrew?
Yes.
Motion carried. Review and action of prior meeting minutes from May 14th, 2024.
Move to accept action on prior meeting minutes, May 14th, 2024, and read the reading.
Second.
Sam moved, Andrea second, to accept the prior meeting minutes for May 14th, 2024 and waive the reading. Any discussion? Andrea?
Yes.
Sam?
Yes.
Kimberly?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Understood. Oh, I'm sorry, abstain. Oh, yeah.
I also vote yes.
I read them, but I was not here.
Motion carried.
Just to clarify, Kim, you're abstaining from the minutes and.
And I
you're
voted
voting yes.
Yes. Thank you for
Yes.
keeping us on the straight and narrow. Communications.
All right, short and sweet as we get into the summer season here. The heat's gonna get turned up, hopefully the rain spigot doesn't get turned off, we need that going. Swimming pools in full swing, ball season started tonight, first game's tonight. Anna did say she would be here in a little bit, so either they're getting started or things are just ending early, so I'm not expecting this. She'll be here shortly. Still working on a few projects at the ball fields. We have our new hire now. We'll start his training on CDL classes with the gentleman Sydney. Kurt Tremaine is going to be he's a third-party tester. That's if you recall the last time we did this online was not an option. Yeah, so yes, college it's no longer a necessity. So we're taking online courses here in the office and getting that taken care of. But all good things there. 33rd Street from Garfield to Sherman. Garfield to Sherman is now open. The project is complete. I think we have the final billing and the bills and claims. So project went well. Had to have a little pressure rock in a few places where the soil was a little bit too wet. Not a problem there. They know what to do. So everything went smoothly with that project. Appreciate CSC for the work that they do. Yeah, other than that, we've got some upcoming meetings. I will be gone the 5th of June. For me. And then that takes us to cemetery on June 11th. At 5:15 PM in this room. And our next city council meeting, that same evening at 7. And I might mention, I'm sure hopefully all of you got the calendar reminder, but the joint special meeting with the library is June 18th. At 6 PM. So, and that will be here as well. We'll have that notice in the agenda. This targets and story for the.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Standing committee reports, Andrea,
None.
Kimberly,
The planning and zoning committee met today, discussing the Bishop property. Lot and how that layout will work. They had some good contribution from members present in the audience.
Well, obviously, the big action show, but.
Well, they're bringing it to us, right?
We're not out already.
Oh, okay, yeah, so our next meeting. We can sit down to bring it to us, sure, yeah. Cool. Sounds like that's probably here. I think we still have three more to go.
See where.
Yeah, we'll have to have two and they have to have it.
Any issues, concerns?
A good one was raised up for a couple of reasons, discussing like the property ending there at 8th Street and really there was the access plans for the way into that development was gonna be restored. And there was some concern about maybe there were some animals being to enter locations just in case. And for a service for them, so that'll be the review, so yeah.
So the adjustment that they made today that will not affect moving forward. Ordinary I'm running was along here. And we have the south side of 8th, they're gonna go to 30. See vehicles and utilities, the great plains has to come through and clear trencher, the truck. So. Yeah.
Yeah. We brought that up.
Also,
Yes.
the absolutely fire chief, so.
Multiple directions.
Yeah.
From a CRA perspective, because he was also thinking about. Things for development, needing to access anything north of there.
It's from abutting land.
Right, that's a really bad. Yeah. Just watching you listening, but Jason Bishop was also here, obviously. Brain with the cognitive issues there.
And the way, Brad Dickens, our surveyor for this project. We still. CRA but for the purposes of this communication, the entire subdivision will be called the Bishop subdivision. We'll have legal for the subdivision, but we still. Property, we still have government pricing and other. But simplify things for us. Fine, great. Yeah, two sets, we have a letter. You can do both of them, both of them, so. A whole person reading this is. That's around the field. Anybody like to see them?
We're still hearing. And remind me what's the position for.
One, two, six family units. Four duplex size units, those quadplexes as well. I don't know if you could fit a sixplex on there with a single car garage. Sixplex without single car garage. And then on the Bishops, I think it's 14 as well. Oh, sorry, this is phase one. Phase two, the east. On those east lots along Southwest. This. Just along this street.
It is, it's this right here, actually, this access to come back. So, which did not exist, if you just did it and stuff. Back in here.
She's gonna follow this very first line of one.
Oh, it's just, yeah, so this opens right here,
This is 8th Street,
yeah.
and it turns 30 foot.
Yeah. Hopefully you never have any issues, but he had some good examples of. Out in Oglala after the tornado, and had some places that were like. And it was. Break. Yeah, so we're deferring all the things, yeah. You just never know how things are gonna happen or where, so. Accident or fire. Yeah.
So I will bring this in June 11th, we'll have a public hearing. For your approval on the night. And then. Go back to the planning commission for final planning. We'll have a public hearing, that one requires notification to the abutting landowners. And then come back to you again for the final planning. For another public hearing, so one of 3 public hearings.
We get, so we have all the images like you did.
Yeah.
Kind of
At the
flag
June
that
11th
electric
meeting, yeah,
and. Oh.
June 11th meeting, you'll have the same packet. With the changes to 30 foot.
Oh my god. Very good, thank you. Cheering is here and Becky. Financial Trustee.
Don't think the word anything in fully like without crazy, like there's an source of renew. It's great.
Thank you. Thank you. Please note that we accept them, we're presented. Any public comment today? All right, there being no unfinished business, we will move to new business, action and discussion on presentation by Hometown Agency. Welcome, Mr. Joe.
It's third inning, so.
30, oh, you left early?
Okay.
Had an hand in.
6.
Yeah, first nice. Excellent. You know how you should feel about it. They were playing. Oh, that's the whole community. You is the. Handouts we have available. This is Cliff Notes version. Yes. So here is one. Don't worry about it. So I'll be reviewing presentation. May jump at any time.
So. Let's start, I don't know,
Remember what I told you yesterday about jokes?
yeah, let's start at, I wish we could start out with. So. Let's, keep on the great points, think about emergency access. Tornadoes, right, situations like that have been plaguing, Nebraska and surrounding areas, as you can kind of see on the news. And stuff like that, in our packet, we'll go through all of the renewal materials there on the right, and then on the left, there'll be little highlights of what we'll be referring to. And then, of course, the sheet that's on over is looking at is the sheet. So, if you want to jump ahead right to that, that's where that's happening. But, and you look at it, you don't want price, you go, well, that's not a. It's not for the check, but it's not a huge increase. Well, that's because there's going to be contingents with the offer. Contingents are, you guys accept warrants, and that's becoming, I'm sure if you have looked at your renewal and your escrow accounts. And things like that, insurance premiums are skyrocketing. And the only way to really control them is one of two ways, really, is to accept some conditions and increase your risk. And that's the same boat that we're in here. EMC, had 108 loss ratio last year, company-wide. What does that mean? Well, 100 is not good. That's every dollar that came in, every dollar went out. That's not counting administrative and things like that. That's just strictly claims loss ratio. So they have 108. They're gonna readjust, and they've had that situation. That's what insurance carriers right now are succeeding that. So, there's different restrictions out there and things like that, but we're gonna jump in on this. We've got 3 hours allocated on my time. So,
Thank you.
so we'll jump right into that. On the right, this thing right here is where we'll jump in, and remember the way that very next page just has a breakdown of everything that we're going to cover tonight. Property, liability, you'll see there's already multiple versions, because when this thing got sent to me on May 10th, after I met with Ed probably 2 weeks before that, we made some adjustments, and then the adjustments came back and I made some more adjustments, some things to try to get us to where we need to be. And then, so that's our estimated, premium estimate at this time. I'm gonna go through the next page, jumps right into commercial property. And folks, this is where it's all at. I mean, so we're gonna hit it head on to start with, and we'll jump right into that. And everything that we have is on a blanket basis. Okay, so that's something else that's we have some, and if you'll turn to the very next page, it helps us out. There's some property in the open, there's some building, there are things like that, and we have actual cash values, and we have replacement costs. And that's the two different types of how settlements happen in the insurance world. And I'm gonna break down, we have actually two different blankets of properties. And a lot of our buildings, like this one sitting right here, is insured at $1.7 million. And this, of course, goes into the fire department, because the fire department only has the 2 bays over there for, and it goes all the way to the back, for the Grand Spring Fire District where the ambulance actually sit. It's kind of an ironic thing. The fire department sits on your property, and the county sits on the fire department's property, and you all get along. So that's the main thing from that standpoint. Just a quick educational purposes. There is 5 trends impacting commercial property insurance. Put these in here to let you guys know what those are and help illustrate those things. The big one is the cost of fixing things. Inflation is another word for that. We are biased. And what I mean by that is, we price things based on what they were supposed to be at that time. Inflation hits, and you'll see the markup. And do any type of home remodel right now, and they compare that to 10 years ago, what the cost of those were. They went up a little bit. And so, just to give you guys an education here on where you were at in 2021, which is on the premium sheet, the renewal term from 2021 to 2022, the valuation of all of the city's properties was 6.5 million. Okay. Our renewal this year is $11.11 million. So we almost doubled our property valuation. Of course, we had a swimming pool and some other things like that have increased. I'm not picking on it in general, I'm just saying the different contributors. Last year we were just over 10 million. Year before that we were at 8.5. So as you look at the property sheet going up, so are the things that we're insuring, and so is the cost of them. Natural disasters, I mean, all those types of things, but the big one is increased costs across the board, and then reinsurance companies.
Mhm.
Insurance companies buy insurance from other insurance companies. And the way that this is usually done is that you cover your risk here, and then they pass it on to a reinsurer, so when a big event happens, a lot of times, the primary insurance company on it has a stop loss of so many billions or billions of dollars, how much they can handle, and then that's transferred to reinsurance. Reinsurance companies have been hit the last couple of years with astronomical rate, meaning that the occurrences happened and they're transferring that off. So they come in and then they crank premiums. So what ends up happening basically offset that. So that trickles down to whom? In this situation, the city of Grant is a consumer. All of you are feeling this right now. Like I said, I go back to the escrow little example that I used. A lot of people's homeowners insurance are all going up, or their deductibles going up, or stuff like that. So, I'm gonna sound like a broken record here, because that's the part that's broke. And it's on repeat right now. So, couple different things that they've done. They've attached a couple, and that's these other two things behind on the left side. This is where they start transferring some of the risk back to the city. And some of those risks are a reduction in coverage from the standpoint of cosmetic loss due to roof surfaces caused by wind or hail. And what we're talking about here, and the best thing that I can do an example of this is, I'm gonna pick on our golf course, seems like I'm picking on it all the time. Out there, when the roof got beat up out there, it wouldn't even have mattered if this was in it, because it was big enough hail that it damaged the actual structure itself to the point where it was going to leak. That makes sense. So the roof was compromised. So therefore, they would have had to pay on it anyway. But this goes back to, if it just peppers it up and it looks bad, and it doesn't compromise the structure, they're not going to pay for it. Does that make sense? Talk to any one of your farmers around in the area and ask them what's happened to their metal buildings the last couple of years. Exactly what we're talking about here. Insurance companies came out way back 10 or 15 years ago, and they covered cosmetic loss. Now they don't on the metals right now is one thing, but that's the one downside to it. The other downside is that if the roof has not been replaced or updated in the past 15 years, they want to put an actual cash value rider on this. This doesn't affect us at the city of Grant as much as it would maybe some other situation. Here's why. A lot of our buildings that are older have ACV riders on them already. That's evaluations. If we've updated the roof, well, i.e. done improvements on the roof. You know, we did like, but we've got to get some information down. That's right. We're gonna be picking on her because we got to get some information on some of these roofs that we have replaced. We do Ameritech. I mean, just over time, and we have replaced not due to an actual occurrence. They're coming into play. But I'm gonna pick on like our swimming pool's not gonna be affected. That makes sense because it's not 15 years old. So like I said, really our concessions here, we're making some of these concessions already on some of these buildings. What actually makes up our, and then the last hammer that I haven't dropped yet. This is the bad one. Last year we had $2,500 all other perils deductible. So the broken pipe in the wall, we were on for $2,500. That is now $5,000. Wind and hail stayed at $10,000. Here's the other shoe that drops. It's per location, not per occurrence. Soak that in for a minute. It's per location, not per occurrence. So how does this adversely affect the city? This building, library, and the one downstairs all get beat up at the same time. 10, 10, and 10. Okay. Golf course got beat up out there. Doesn't matter. It's all by itself. Does that make sense? That location gets beat up to $10,000 throughout the first 10,000. That's the other concession. And the premium still in. That's where we're at.
If location of physical address,
And by location, yes, it is. And that's why we have a situation. City park is all one location. That makes sense because they use that all the same, even though it takes up a whole city block. Cemetery is its own location. This is its own location. There's 9 different locations that they actually have separated out. Does that make sense? And so that's where the difference is on those types of situations. Museum this way, and the library, and this is all three different locations. So. The sweeping hailstorm could be a problem.
I'll tell you that, you know, we had some repairs done to this roof, so I had to go ahead and build a nest fit. This roof alone was $76,000 to replace from Weathercraft for the EPDM roof or whatever. So if we had 3 locations and you can figure the similar price value, yes, 30,000 is a lot, but it's gonna be 210,000 total for all 3 locations to replace.
And that's the same square foot, good point. And let's take that a step even further. 5 years ago, it's at least 10% less, maybe 20% less. You go 10 years ago, and it's half. I mean, that's where we're at. And I'm not just that, the masonry work, anything that happens anymore, it's nothing for a broken pipe now in a house. We got $20,000 just to, I mean, the people come in, mediation, well, that's not it, that's, there you go. No, that group is right there, I mean, for them to roll over, it's 10 grand, so I see their that's not to rebuild the situation, so. I mean, that's where we're at now, that same situation's half as much 10 years ago, and your premiums are half as much 10 years ago also, like now. Also, because your insurance amounts to fix those now have been, we are the last shoe to drop, so. It actually gets better after this, but that is really the sticker right now, on our actual presentation. That is a big part. Couple different things. Just gonna give you an idea. The bathhouse, for example, is one of our blankets, you know, that you're looking at here. Like that's a building, the substation is property in the open. So let's talk about your coverage here for a minute. This substation is $2 million. Is the valuation to replace the substation up on the hill over here. That's Midwest that we insure. We increased that just a couple of years ago with $1.2 million. Now it's $2 million. Dr. Jason picked up to replace it, and we're probably still a little shy. So let's say tornado takes that, or severe situation happens to just that piece of property. Wind and hail, fire, what if it's fire loss, it's only it's fire. Out of our pocket. But let's say that it costs $2.4 million to replace. Because we blanket our coverage, does that make sense? We're blanketing it. We have coverage for up to almost $9 million for property. Does that make sense? So that's one thing that we're not doing it, putting a cap at this location. Does that make sense? If something does happen. Now, if this thing gets leveled, and you got to combine. I'm talking about this getting leveled in town and the airport and the cemetery. And I mean, you got locations where it can happen. I'm not gonna say it can't. We got up to over $11 million coverage. That's gonna go really fast. But that's what we do have. At the airport out there. We got $2 million now. That's not counting things that are inside or things like that. I mean, those are situations where when we built the things out there, 400,000, 500,000, 600, we had, 1.5 million. I think it's well more than that because of the valuation. And that was in 2014 and 2017. That was I did look. Questions? Okay. Moving along. It gets better. So I don't have a joke for that. That's just bad. Moving along, the general liability, $2 million per occurrence. We have a $2 million pool of money. June 2nd, the June 2nd is our policy term. So if we have $1 million claim tonight, right? Something happens and we're negligent, and it goes on, it would be attached to this date. Does that make sense? June 2nd, we reset that $2 million pool of money. Okay. How do they price City of Grant? Well, it's by the functions that you do. It's the crowd roars. The functions that you do. So we have a couple things in here. We have a swimming pool. right? We go off of gross sales, right? This is the kind of things we read about. The health, that one, right? We know the gross sales, that is our gross sales is dull. Right? That's our gross sales is. Quick question. Let's get asked this. Liability exposure, right? Somebody gets worse. There's tax. In the state of New York, something will be struck. The whole way to see lawsuit still helps. City of Grant takes a host of liability statements. Okay, we have a coverage. Cover. If we drug into that loss. They have the primary though, they have the liabilities. They're the ones who actually sell it. So it makes sense? Quite understated. Right? Yes. Yes. Responsibility, if things go haywire when the county runs their fair, great, understand that, right? Here's why. It's the, state folks. They wave them off, otherwise they won't, have to wave them off. You're blocking a highway. Or blocking a highway, we wouldn't have to worry about that. Blocking a highway, we take souls, we take for those days that we're doing it, we take souls. Should go wrong. They still prove the word made. Does that make sense? These guys. It's kind of, that's not a town like it's funny. Town liability ratings goes from 1,001 all the way to 2,500, which all the same. Rating. So it's 2,500 rating dollars. That's $3,800. Another 500. So I'm close to 51. These are things people together when trusting. Guys get audited. Break it down by how much does garbage cost, how much does water cost, how much does cost. We Candy just get together and put these numbers together so that they go out here. You don't want Jeff doing that. So the next coverage is something that's fairly newer. Cyber, one of the pages, cyber, bridges, next 2 pages. The rate of risk is going up. Why do you think that is? Because there's been more claims. We don't have a lot of coverage here. If you look down, the one thing that you always hear about on the news is extortion. They capture somebody's stuff and they these big Fortune 500 companies hostage. We have a whole lobby 25 grand to put stuff. Those types of things, though, there's a cyber suit, some of the other things that plan into that. We have a little bit of coverage, we don't have a lot. When this thing came out, it was $1,200. We look at the next page, it's already $1,485. That's what you can see on the screen, on the sheet. Because this is the hot item right now in the insurance world. Excuse me, this is property. Right now, property. And I'm here in California, I'm here in Florida. That's in the news. You talk about all these nationwide carriers pulling out of states because of property. Cyber liability is right behind it on their other three. Next page is your business auto, and I just give you guys the highlights here. You got $1 million worth of bodily injury and property damage auto. Is your guys' auto out of your entire portfolio? It's less than 10%. And you've got the 2019 Peterbilt garbage truck is we are the first houses, all glass, repair or replace. Repair or replace no parents for yourself. So that is one thing that here 2019 Peterbilt, 2017 Freightliner, the Super Gumbo Sterling vehicle, and the 21 F-250. All your full coverage, anything else is liability only. The one thing that lands underneath those, I know I heard about this from a street sweeper. That's mobile. It's running up and down the road. It is not licensed for road use, right? We don't have to go and get a license. If it runs over somebody, then that's where we're going to grab the liability to front people. Physical damage is the boat insurance, the very next page. And that in the marine, the yacht keeps we depreciate it down. We're only paying $520,000 worth of physical damage to items full coverage. Kind of thing I say that. You have a balanced color, like, we're not worried about this, we're not worried about this, this is all right, they're willing to, you can damage stuff all you want, there's like $1,000 deductible, fine. Big ticket items here is that street sweeper. And Ed and I go through this amount, we try to keep these amounts close to what they are, because that's what they're gonna pay. They're not gonna come out and write you a check for brand issues. It'd be awesome if they did, they're not going to, so we try to get a value that's as close as we can. It's not like your farmers and their travelers. To depreciate it out, like I said, on the bank, they kind of keep track of all that stuff. The one thing that we do have listed though is our statue down at the library, if you kind of see, it's still $36 from fine arts. In case someone vandalizes that bad boy, steals it, lock, hits it with a tow truck, whatever, I don't know. Different types of things, we have coverage for that. It's probably underinsured. Probably worth more than that now, so.
We looked it up just recently.
I appreciate it. And then there is some for computer systems and some other companies too. Very cheap now. The next one is, it's not football season yet, but I know some of them are getting into it, linebackers. Not that, these are still the same bad jokes. Linebacker is for you folks right here. People back here should say they're not doing their job right, they report you to the state, right? There are situations that can happen. This is defense costs or judgments against you if you're found liable. I run into this before. Do this long enough, I think you run into everything. That's my best learning, is how, when you know what hits the fan, how these things back. Actually, it was on someone who wasn't even still on the board. Okay, they got voted off. Right there, they turned out, they said, "Heaven, I'm not doing it again," and it got brought up against them. The state came in, and it was several thousands in legal fees related to that. If you want to see something right here, you have a claims made policy, so we have prior coverage all the way back to '87. EMC has actually insured this risk since 1984. Okay. So basically, all prior acts are covered here also. So let's go back to a prior member, and something gets brought up back then. I know the statutes of limitations would be, but even in those, we're going to take care of the legal defense. You're not the first $2,500, which is what's on charges an hour anyway. So I mean, after hour one, you're right into that. You're right into that other amount of what we're actually going to be paying on. That's $1 million pool, right? For every time the policy renews, from that standpoint. Why I think it's ironic that it's 6/2 of '87 is if I didn't have this coverage for 3 years back in the '80s, nobody ever sued you. The other part that this reaches out is it grabs the committees that are underneath here too. So someone goes out to the economic development committee, someone goes out to the planning committee, someone goes out to the health board. These are extensions of the city of Grant, and they're all insured. Okay. You don't even have to play football to go. The next step is umbrella, at $4 million per occurrence. This thing went up dramatically. Why do you think that is? There apparently has been some claims as a history, not from us, from us, but we have $4 million here. And this is the reason why I always ask this question. It's a bad one, but why is the $4 million? That's an automatic, Jeff. We go with $4 million. And the hint is, beneath your general liability, we have $1 million, $2 million pool. Any one occurrence, they grab $1 million. Your underlying auto policy, there's $1 million, right? Auto injury, property damage. And then underneath your linebacker, the first down and 10, you got $1 million here too. Now, why would we have the umbrella that would go over and above for another $4 million? You know what? The Nebraska Tort Act, Nebraska Tort Act has a $5 million for political subdivisions, for political things. You're supposed to have a $5 million maximum tort in the state of Nebraska. That means that they will sue for more. They will sue for more. They're supposed to get more. They're not. So you're filling your financial obligation paying one occurrence. Payable underneath here for $5 million. But once they hit that amount, then you're done the rest of that term for the umbrella. So let's say you do something really bad, general liability, we're found negligent, and they get $5 million. They're going to grab the $1 million for the occurrence in their underlying coverage. Come back here and grab the $4 million umbrella. Still got another $1 million here. make it through June second to June second, right? Which is an odd date, but I decided June second. And then the autos, June second, we still got $1 million there, but the umbrella's gone. You will be able to purchase other companies. I would love to be the agent who's in on that negotiation, because that will not be cheap, and nor will renewals. Because they're gonna come in with risk management and make sure. Because here's here's a great time to talk about this. Risk transference. That's what we're doing here, folks. You're writing a check to EMC to take the city of Grant's risks that you accept and transfer them to EMC to cover. So, although Tana is our legal representative here, when things happen or something like that, they may hire other legal counsel. Now, they will too. They may hire someone who specializes in that field. Whether it's employment practices, maybe, which is included in here. Maybe it's something related to that. Just something that they do work with a lot of times with the city's attorney or the village's attorney, which I found in that working, but there may be someone else because you're writing a check to transfer that risk. EMC's checkbook now is the one taking over. Does that make sense? It's not risk sharing. It's not us in another city, in another village, all of us sharing the same risk. So if this person over here has a claim, we don't get drugged into their stuff. We are risk transferring. We're transferring that risk. City of Grant to EMC. The next page is workers' compensation. Here's a fun fact. In 2014, the city's workers' compensation premium was only $17,000. Do you think payroll was higher or lower? Probably way lower, right? What do you base premiums on in workers' compensation? It's based on payroll, and then what exactly we do, right? Garage, it's Ridge has its own company, right? And when we go through and we do the audits, when Candy and her do the audits, they put that much payroll underneath there. Because the city of Grant has had very few claims lately and not severe. That's how workers' compensation. Here's your base rating. Okay, if you're good and we don't have claims, the rate goes down with workers' compensation. You may have a lot more pay, but you may actually pay less. If you have a lot of claims, frequent or severe, it throws the thing off and it's going to go up and they're going to charge you extra. So in 2014, our actual premium, fun fact, the workers' comp premium was higher than the property. 2014. So think how that switched. At one time, I remember when we took over the account, we were right in the middle of a $250,000 workers' comp claim when we came over and was the agent on the account. And since, I remember being like $20,000. I remember us going, holy crap, what are we gonna do? And now it's just totally, but providing missions on ourselves a lot, right? This building was not 1.7 million. Was not. The next page, our liability for our airport is on a separate program. And we made a change at the Hometown Agencies last year. We went with a local gentleman. A large brokerage had bought out Nation Air. I know on your thing up here it says Nation Air, that's a typo. Andy's 99.9% good. That's one that she did. We didn't mess up there. So we went with a local broker. John Worthing, this is from Venango originally. He runs an aviation insurance outfit. He's a partner in. And I actually reached out to him because that's who I worked with way before Nation Air got bought out by Gallagher. And actually that's good news to the contract. Exactly. We have $5 million, so that's a separate policy. We have another $5 million worth of liability coverage out there. The full coverage here though is hangar keepers. So when you guys take your automobile down to any garage that you go to, they have a thing called garage keepers insurance. So if you leave it in their care, custody, and control, your vehicle, no different than when the docs fly in on their plane and they leave it in our care, custody, and control. Someone from the airport authority or Ed's out there or somebody's out there moving the thing around and we damage the plane. It's left in our care, custody, control. That's where our hangars keepers liability comes in. No different than to put your car up on the hoist malfunctions and drops your truck down and it does damage to it. That's garage keepers at a auto service center. We have hangers keepers for damage to other people's. Does that make sense?
Jeff, aren't moving planes. Careful, we're calling people
Yeah.
that know how to move planes.
It's not, it's not a free move playing game. It's not, I don't encourage that to be a
Oh,
whole.
Mr. Fleming.
We, yeah, get them in shot. If there's a med pay claim there, something like that, somebody trips and falls, that landscaping here. And that was the situation, we got that type of claim. The structures that are out there, though, their price tag is on your problem section. Okay, does that make sense? We transfer that liability risk here. Here's why EMC doesn't want to get near it. I think at one time, everything was, well, I can't even say that. It was written differently back in the day. And to be honest with you, the city of Grant was additional named insured on another policy. Here's the problem about that, you guys have no control as additional named insured. If that person doesn't pay their premium, that person goes out of business. That person just says the heck of it, skips town, or that person only has $1 million worth of liability, you guys are listed as additional named insured. We changed that years ago, that was a big thing. And we got these guys involved in it, and this is why we have the City of Grant and Grant Municipal Airport are together on that. The FBO out there has its own policy, you guys know that. And aviation insurance did one of these numbers a couple of years ago, now it's coming back, at least that was what they come here. So, the next page, it's this one, this is my favorite. I'm a numbers guy, that's why there's scribble marks all over it, and mine doesn't look nearly as professional as guys. And this really is, because I'm going to change even today on this, and I did not catch nation everything until after I printed it, and I already changed 2 rainforests, so I explored them. The property went up 13%. Your general liability went up 5.9. I'm a percentage guy, I can give you exact numbers if you want. Cyber went up 22%. And you know any claims. And the marine went down 2.5. Commercial auto went up 6.9. How many people in this room would like their auto to only go up 6.9? Yeah. The football insurance went 11%. Umbrella, 18.9. Workers' compensation is down 8.5, 8.4. Overall, our EMC increase was 8.5%. It was $6,511. But Jeff, you just went gloom and doom. I did because you guys took on more risk, a lot more risk. And still we had a 6% increase. 8 was an 8, what like 6? Oh, well that's, I jumped ahead. With our aviation insurance going down 25.5%, our grand total of increase was 52.66 or 6%, 6.1. Let's talk about the fact that EMC is a mutual carrier. So what does that mean? You folks all are part owners of an insurance company. Do you feel like it? You feel like it right now? Not so much. What happens is they take all of the muni business and put it together in the state of Nebraska, and they go over a 3-year average, and if that's profitable, we get a dividend, which we normally have by now. We haven't gotten that dividend yet, but they are going to pay a dividend of 2.3%. Give you an idea how big is that dollar amount? That's probably going to be about $1,500. Not a huge deal. But the last 27 years, EMC has paid a dividend. The last 7 years, City of Grant's collected $45,000 in dividends, which means roughly you have earned $6,400 on average. Last 2 years have been down. What's happened in the state of Nebraska the last couple of years? There's been substantial amounts of claims. And still this has been profitable. Why it was profitable was because there was about a 3-year run there. They made you 20-some% dividend. We had an $8,200 dividend, we had a $9,800 dividend, we had $12,700 dividend. Now, we went up each of those years. I'd like to point that out. They were offset with some of those dividends. We have not seen that in the last 2 years, neither has anybody else in the industry. There's not a lot of players in the scheme. The reason why is the amount of losses are offsetting profitability for insurance companies. Now, I never say feel sorry for an insurance company because they have really nice building here and there, and the other places they probably aren't doing one. But it is getting to the point where it's going to get, you see a There's other carriers that are pulling out of. That do. You probably put this, they get together normally on Sundays, things like that, and there's like $2 or $3 million worth of property on the corner block. This, and they have claims that are $80,000. That's getting fewer and fewer far between, and that's what you're seeing more and more. If you would like, one of the things that we can do is look into reducing your wind and hail risk. Here's the problem. Where it's on a per location basis, it's tougher to write those policies for wind and hail, and because you guys are sprung out on 9 different locations. If it was just like that corner block I was talking about, where you got about $3 million worth of coverage, you can usually buy down the deductible and the wind and hail deductible, and I can take a look at that. I don't think we want to do it over all 9 of properties, to be quite honest with you. But one of the things that we might look at is like this building, maybe the ones right there on Main Street. To be quite honest with you, I think that that might be something you want to look at. We looked at it last year and no one was interested in writing that. So we had a $10,000 one. We looked at reducing it down to 5. And after I said, well, there's 30 buildings, they looked at me and said, well, I'm not interested. So,
When Jeff and I were going over vehicles and everything else, that's kind of what he mentioned to me, I said, well, it's worth mentioning, but they didn't buy it last year and things only got worse from last year, so I doubt that we can.
we couldn't get it covered, we didn't cover it off. So, it's not good, it's not fun. Right now in the insurance world, I mean, I enjoy my job. And stuff like that, and this is one of those puzzles that's making it tougher and tougher to finish it out. EMC is a great carrier, I could go on about that. I think you've seen that, otherwise the village or city of Grant without them wasn't for. It's like 84. That's 9, so. Not 9 anymore, so they have a good history, they've taken care of the city has partnered, shut up. Partnered with the city of Grant all this time, and accepted that risk, and you transferred it during that time, and this is the best one.
And I touched on the cybersecurity, as you guys are well aware of, that's something we've sort of highlighted as well here in the office and upped our game on. By bringing on 2020 technologies and the computer stuff and the firewall and all that kind of stuff, so it's pretty relevant in the back of our minds. There are some smaller communities that water utilities were also ransomware, so it's not unfounded.
Not to bang on this point anymore, but at the property section, one of the things that's interesting is when you run even our analysis here on this particular risk, we keep talking about how we've been fairly profitable the last couple of years. I think we have our loss history on property over the last 5 years is 74.4%. We paid out $120,000 on property losses over that time. Had a lightning hit some stuff. We had some other things. We had we redid the golf course. It's gorgeous, but it's all new out there. So, I mean, that type of standpoint. So, a couple of times, and then there was some other losses related to. So, questions, concerns? Great. I'm just the happiest guy in the world right now to talk to. I bring a lot of joy to people's lives.
It's actually better than when Jeff and I originally talked months ago when we were talking about 11% overall increase. So it's better news than we had originally thought. So
And you're saying like it's not saying
around things for that scenario. Then your increase, then we've been 14,000, so you would have been right around that 15%. By then, now how many losses have we had? In my next question. Had Jeff last 10 years, we're expecting more than 100. Not enough to be, it's been one location here, one spot here, one spot this. I did say that, didn't I? Sorry.
it's like the third time you've said sleepy hill.
Put that back into your mouth.
Let's say,
Inside the state is
fun. All about stats. That's the one stat that I want to talk about. That's the other thing that I ran. That's what I had. So there's the risk analysis, the whole thing. The last 10 years.
We've done very well, especially on the working farm side, that,
But things we can control, these
things
things
we
we
can control.
Another fun fact, at one time we had a deductible on our liability. And we had about 3 liability claims around, and they said, hey, we're transfer risk too, right now, we're just go on. He got full on a property damage, that one thing, at that time, I still remember that being a hot topic. So I back in college, you're going to be looking for lines, I don't know that, well, we had a range line, we had 2 things we had a tree branch line smack into a car, okay, we had 3 places like 90 days, we're cold. So, those things happen and this too will really fast. Whatever thing. Whatever. Hey, we're gonna be back to the days, status. Hey. The loss. $1,000, when the nail back on homes here shortly, that's the green bill. You're going to see. The other thing that companies are doing, and percentages. On these, no. $1.3 million no. Nailed down. Be on this building right here, that's the next step to do. 35 miles right there. How far is it? 36 miles that way. That's that, if you walk into that town and down Main Street on commercial businesses, that is a problem. Only 2% doctor for a day. So if you're valuing the point, say, okay, this is building. I think that's 1,000, place for gas. Back all that, no, I'm gonna do it, brother. I'll get dollars elsewhere and use it. If it burns down, I'm gonna rebuild, I'm not gonna go back to this space, we're not gonna go back with this. Fun fact, Doug got it. That one pass. This is what happens when sometimes a historical war situation happens. If you have a building that's like that, you may be offered. If you get into that, you have plenty of coverage, you're gonna have to take care of that. That's happens. That was playing the DNC in Europe. Why you get an example, say from the study website.
Like say with historical. Yeah, so say for a historical marker.
Down, we want to get it.
No, it's not, it's just an obligation if you wanna keep that historical mark. If you were to replace this building, this is a historical building. If you were to replace this building, let's say it's a steel frame building, you would just put the historical. Which, it's, I mean, it's like, how much do you wanna pay for the historical marker is the other question.
Since it's on 1.3 million.
But as without going without saying, we appreciate it. You know, local. We hope from that standpoint, got an amazing staff, they work with us, we do great. We have a good working relationship from that standpoint. Things happens, stuff happens. Which accident. It's the same situation for this. You might need to do this for a special event. Those types of things, and that's the key thing. Audits come about. I think we're extremely helpful from that standpoint. We do a lot on education. This notes version. When I had Ed down my office, pounding big time about where this thing is headed and what they can do on their end. It's up right now. We will do the best we can for you guys. We appreciate partnering.
You got 30-minute version. I actually had that 3 or 6.
So. I just need kind of an okay that, hey Jeff, that's what we want to do. Renewal is this next month. I'm assuming that's okay.
Yep.
I will move that way, that's like. Always.
Do you have any questions for her? No, it's clear.
Clear. Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Thanks, Marlon.
Oh, that was exciting.
Fun.
And when I presented 2 weeks ago, it was the 11th of 7. I think we were both scared, so that was actually better news. He did say he was gonna send it back to the MC and tell them to work harder. Jeff's been fantastic. Yeah, I spent 3 hours over a couple meetings with him, and I know Jesse spends quite a bit of time with Candy on its side, so. But they are easy to work with and they explain everything. And they're very good at making sure that we're not negligent. So we constantly,
Very covered.
we have a sewer backup. You know, hey, when's the last time you had it cleaned? Nope, you're not negligent. So they've been very good on that aspect, and that's just one example. I know the golf course, like you said, has been kind of a big hit lately for us, at least in the 5 years that I've been here, but we have been working on the other areas like you said, that can control.
Right.
Bringing things to actual value versus replacement cost. That is stuff.
Was good about reading the minutes where they see us driving something and go, wait, did you get that insured or, you know, they're very observant.
Very good. Do we need to make a motion or?
Yeah, to set a presentation, Jeff, you for the 24-25.
Great.
insurance.
We want to keep our insurance.
Yeah.
Is it advice?
Yes, that is.
Should have discussion on, should have discussion, presentation. Yes.
Lots of discussing,
Lots of action.
lots of actions.
It had a transpose in there, it was a copy paste. In all fairness, I try and keep things worded the same year after year, so.
Ellen, do you have any questions?
No, not really. I mean, it's just, I don't know if there's other options out there just to price check, but problem with municipal buildings is something like Westview, it's do that same kind of structure, there's only like 2 or 3 companies that even insure this type of facility, so.
And we did a price check. What year was that?
19. When it was the first year I was here.
Yeah, so I was gonna say it was the first year.
That's very similar to like AMGO, like Thomas said, there were a lot of players in the game, and now there's not very many players.
They don't want you unless you really have to make a change.
Quite a few of them, but I'll tell you we're not thinking you. And I'm just speaking in general. Not general, just in general.
We just go for new sweeping storms.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one.
But I mean, there's not. There's a lot of things have gone to the percentage for things sort of on the deal. So,
So this is our only local agency.
you know,
I think at some point we have to like. It doesn't have to be this year, but I would say that at some point we probably should just continue to run like a rolling price check to make sure we're still, you know what I mean?
Like we do other stuff.
You know, I know we're.
time to take action.
But this is happening in June second.
Direction. So like, I feel like we don't have time to do that this
Yeah, I
year,
agree.
but I think it needs to be on our calendar well in advance of this time frame next year. But just going out to bid, just to see, I mean,
Yeah, Jeff can only, it takes up to this meeting to get that. To get the numbers.
Right. So what we're saying, like for next year.
Well, the numbers, from Jeff then next year.
we to bid and were able to. It would be the same estimate that anybody else would put together based on what's happening.
Oh, I see, I got you.
Everybody's gonna have to say,
I'm following.
this is roughly where we're going to
Yep,
be,
yep.
and you guys need
Yeah.
to make a decision.
And I think every 5 to 6 years,
Yeah.
it's good to just
So-
say, I mean, I don't think we should do this year, we're knocking on the door June second. And I don't think it's reasonable to have that be a plan moving forward.
Like I think we don't,
It'll be this is our 5th year.
I
And
don't, most things don't we do every 5 years?
Well, no, I mean, everyone does it differently. I mean, it
Okay.
just depends on what each community picks for that. I mean, it may be like the insurance they do every 5 years, sorry. Auditors, they do every 5 years.
That's right.
Certain things they do every 10 years, 3 years. There's no consistency.
funds on, I
Yeah,
mean, it's just.
longevity, working with the same company, similar to.
I don't think anyone could beat you.
TC Engineering, these are.
You probably need facts and stuff like
Civil
that,
engineers.
right?
That's what he, I mean.
I think it's a great job. I think, I don't. Yeah.
Hey, local is helpful for things like noticing new equipment or whatever. I think as he's presenting this and we're talking about trends, I think it makes sense that we start think about this cost when we think about building things, repairing things, buying new things. Because it's all about time and cost that I feel like a lot of times we're just talking about what is the cost to do this. You know, some other discussions we've had, like we can get grants, we can get a lot of money to do things, but what does it kind of cost us to maintain those things?
So what's the real cost,
Yeah,
actual?
yeah. Scary trend. Terrible, I just want to throw this away.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, so can we go out to bid? Next year then, in March? Look back. Or even. And can we confirm it was 19? I guess, yeah.
Check.
Yeah.
I think it was, yeah, I think it was.
And what were our outputs, I guess, I can't even remember what our outputs were at that point, I know it was either. So close it didn't make sense to change, or he was, actually, I don't
Remember honestly either, you have to go back and look at the notes.
I mean, if we have it, it may not, it may help us to determine whether it makes sense to even go out to bid. 5 years, knowing what's happening in the industry, what our results were 5 years ago might help us to decide too. Okay. Put it on your calendar, 2025. To do what's already. 2020. I will go ahead and make a motion to accept the hometown agency 2024-2025 insurance. I'll second plan package. Offer. Bill.
Shelley moved, Andrea second, that we accept the offer from hometown agency for 2024-2025 insurance. Any more discussion? Sam, how do you vote?
Yes.
Andrew? Yes. Kimberly? Yes. Motion carried. Thank you, guys. Good questions, good, thing to keep in the back of our mind. When we have a new project, anything new. All right. Correction and discussion on resolution 240503. To adopt a senior grant swimming pool for fill manual. And fill all resolution or parts of any conflicts.
So this is, obviously it's kind of a niche swimming pool. They need specific guidelines for personnel over there, where we did all the work on the employee personnel manual. I had Tom double check that I did all the merging
There's no conflict.
together,
Have them
and obviously we didn't really have anything in place prior to this. So we need something in place since we have something for what's regular with city employees. where this is a seasonal type employment for them. Felt like they really needed something specific to that job in that area. And then obviously the time clock and all of that, which being included in there, send it over to Donna so she can look at it, draft a resolution and make sure it drops in the areas that were transposed like an action in discussion with an action in discussion.
I just got it, I was reading it,
We caught it, we did good.
I got something else.
I thought you would have to vote on what's.
Oh, yeah, I should.
And that department has specialty items, because swimming pools qualify for some regulations and stuff for labor. So those kind of addresses all.
15-year-olds and that type of stuff.
Yeah, and then they're considered amusement parks shade.
And then working for it, the job descriptions and the duties and all of that to try and make this inclusive so that we can use this going forward since we'll be with this school for the next 60+ years. How long did I do?
On page 5, number 7. Alcohol use is that it's drugs, that's all I saw the whole thing. We talked about. It's not drugs.
Page 5, number 7. Okay,
Oh, no Doug's.
okay. The kids are calling them now.
Say, yeah, I'm
Kids calling them.
Well, you know, it's 3:45, you know.
Thank you.
So I mean, that's good, and I was sure how this first was. Was my next question, was like, okay, so we making insurance.
No, there's,
This is the.
we had a version, but it was a reminiscence of the name Markport days, so it hadn't been used, so.
No, Vance Tyler.
Vance Tyler.
Yeah,
Sorry,
it hasn't been used, I mean. They've used it, but it was only. Then we added and so.
this is the first real adaptation of the personnel manual for social.
Page 7, number 1,
Yes,
should we just make that 30 minutes prior to, so that if full hour change, we're not stuck a time, it says report to work by 12:30 p.m. local time.
oh,
If
so
we
you-
change full hours, does that?
yeah, I
create
just
an
went
issue?
with the current schedule, that's a good catch too, I think it should just be 30 minutes prior to your scheduled shift time.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
I was going off tomorrow.
You? You're just thinking about not going back?
On those.
Public and private swimming lessons, does this? Sorry, 15. Does this mess up our matrix at all with regard to pay if they? And so we all fit within there?
And this is what, this is again, a formal adaptation of what we've already been practicing.
Okay.
That makes sense. We've already been offering 50 cents and $1 extra on top of, this is just putting it right.
Set determined. That's like the number 1 complaint that I have heard from employees of the pool.
That was the,
It's not like, how are we just, because before this policy was in place,
there was nothing.
they were getting paid the money to do the lessons.
That was the, we have to pay them for them to have the insurance.
Okay,
So a lot of pools otherwise then were doing something different. I mean, like they had to pay a fee or something like that, but this is the way the insurance company I just paying them. That's just the amount that they chose to.
In public swimming lessons were opening a new pool.
Public.
We just.
It's expected to be.
so I think that's, like, maybe that's like the question, so public swimming, those are advertised, that's part of the city. Private lessons, there's 2 things that can happen, so if somebody calls the city and says, I want my kid to have lessons, they're put on the log, right, and then we find the lifeguard that has the time and can do it. You also have lifeguards proactively renewing lessons with previous years, which feels like a little bit of a different situation. Especially in comparison to the fact that like there is a private citizen giving lessons at the pool. Just paying the cost of their membership and then getting paid to do those lessons. So where are we at, I guess, with this? And then if an employee wanted to just come in and say, I'm not working today, I'm gonna give a lesson, I'm not in my lifeguard uniform, I called this person, they wanna have lessons with me. I'm just curious, like, how are they covered?
If they do it during open swim. Lifeguards are on duty, we have no responsibility of that individual. So anybody can go in, I mean, you're teaching your kid potentially how to swim when you're there, I mean, that's what it's there for. So there is no, they can't come in and do it during those private hours.
Right, so if they were not working and they were proactively scheduling their own,
During open swim, when everybody's there.
they would just do it. They would not be,
So,
they would not be paid hourly, they would not be insured,
right,
but they could do that. Okay, I didn't see anything in the handbook about that, and I didn't know, is that a concern if that starts happening? Okay,
so it's more of the whole issue is just when they're there during a. Fine, doing that, and private swimming lessons, that's what it was thought of, is most of the time people are wanting pool. More of a
Available.
private setting than, rather than having it. Full pool.
And I think that, at least since we've opened a new pool, they've tried to let that be more of a family approach. So if the family is more comfortable with one lifeguard than another.
Yeah.
They try and schedule with that lifeguard. And it's worked out. I think you get more of a. I mean, if the family wants a specific lifeguard for private swim lessons, and I would appreciate that. I mean, I think
Yeah.
that's a better route than just everyone signing up and then you just get whoever's in the rotation. Because some of them can't do private swim lessons the first year, or you know, the first year of employment they can't do private swim lessons.
how does Brittany handle then if they are just there giving a lesson and they opt in?
Yeah, that goes to the state.
If they're not on the schedule and they're in public swim hours,
Yeah, they're not. on
do
the
we
clock.
need anything in here
They're not
about that? Okay, there won't be any concern about you're an employee and you're here, but you're not clocked
They're
in.
not, they're not on the clock and they're just.
They would pay their normal admission to get in.
I think some have been doing it. I don't really know. I just wanted to make sure we didn't have any legal issues. So that is the defining difference then. If you are clocked in, this kicks in, maybe you are insured, protected by the city, and have access. If you are not clocked in, you can do it anytime you want. You take all the money for the lessons, but if anything happens.
Yeah, as long as you're. They just know that, well, yeah, I mean, this perfect example, you know, it's very open, so we may have, their kids up there, you may not be able to. So that would be before.
My second concern comes in with like room swim hour, because that becomes a really prime opportunity for people to give private lessons. But it's also open, it's lap swim, designated by the city, so that.
And it's always been that it's enhanced and lessons during the labs.
So it doesn't look great for the lap swimmers.
So we have worked on that, I mean, there's some pushback on that. It's that flashing, but they're going on that. It's right, early morning. Well.
Well. And becoming. So.
Well, as I recall, pretty much stuff. Last of this.
That's so
I it's like a lot of length.
You know. We are doing a little. There's no ropes for use.
There should be very.
Vote ready to put out, so I asked for what I would. I went to last week, and stuff like that, so, but that's another that's an address, that's what you're saying, but that's, or chase and ask.
There's the slide barrier, right, obviously the big slides, you can't go in there, but of the 3 lanes, the only thing designated them is the line on the bottom of the wheel.
That'll fix.
And that's the whole pool we had left the first 2, like 5 minutes slide, that's that swim lanes and then water aerobics and that other spots, and then we just worked together with whoever it was. Usually the water aerobics people weren't walking the first part, you know, some of the pools, so it's we're gonna get.
Right, well, that's.
It's really, holding spots.
Very well. Well, the principal of the city. I think it's 18.
Very wild.
It's just, it's 15 in the morning, yeah, we put the money down. Conversation about.
And a lot of like it's more if we're.
So I definitely get if nobody's showing up for last one, if you have all those swings in and out, that's kind of a pain, but maybe they would.
Well, so, so that was what makes, that's the reason why I got membership, so I. It's like, so I think, so it's like. It's the other first, but it was designated last vote, and so I showed up, and I was like, checked it, and I want a last vote, and then all the. Okay, with that, it's a decision, and maybe, you know, I guess.
Right, and some people won't ask, just because it's the first one.
Yeah, well, then,
They don't know to ask, I just,
really. I don't know why, from last year to this year, we can carry it over, because I told them there was a minimum of 3 lanes every last.
well, maybe it needs to be.
We might, it's not, it's more of a managed sharing.
Well, it might actually need to be in here, and maybe it can be dependent on how many people are last spring, when there's at least one, because I'm very familiar with the lawsuit in California that when it really arrived because there was not designated lanes. And people were severely injured, so I don't, like legally, if you're gonna do lap swim. You may need to designate places where people cannot be jumping and lane swimming at the same time, because the lane swimmers not looking for people. No. Okay, yeah. Yeah. What do you?
I mean, I think if it's going to be a good regular too. We put other stuff in here. Check the lot of their school. They just put another section in that part.
But it's not that we have, sometimes we move the lanes and stuff, so I don't think we want it detailed probably. I would understand that too. Like. Maybe they don't have water aerobics, so we're shifting it to these 2 lanes at day so that they can breathe with that.
You could tell, but I don't think it needs to be that, so
Yeah.
it just needs to probably say that while during laps with the lanes may be designated for officers. And there's, you know, if people are doing water aerobics, they need to know where they're supposed to be.
Yeah, like you can't use the slide on the side of the pool, it's gonna go into the lane, it's the left lane.
Yeah.
Right, because there's a little small blue one during that time frame.
It's done,
Which also happens.
it's done.
Okay.
Brittany just said. Consider it done.
Okay, and it's, but I do think we do need it in here just for.
Yeah, there'll be a minimum of 3 lanes for lap swims.
Okay, perfect.
Well. I mean, I think there should be some flexibilities if you don't have 6 lap swimmers and you've got water aerobics that's now front in. I just think we should, to your point, keep it open enough to where it says like, for lap swim, there will be a minimum of 1 lane. Up to 3 as needed, maybe makes more sense. Cause it is a pool for everyone, I don't want, or lessons to not be able to happen, but.
Can we put it some way like that it's more like the line designated areas will be designated for the day or for that time period or, like,
So
that
one
you
up
still
to
want
three?
water aerobics too, it's not like we need to have it though.
Well, and it's a lessons time, so like, bottom line is you don't wanna, I don't think. You don't wanna mark off 3 lanes if there are 0 people lap swimming. And then your lessons are not able to do what they need to do, or your water aerobics are not able to do what they need to do, but I just think. It needs to be a decision of the operator.
Lap swimmers will have preference during lap swim time.
Lanes will be designated.
Yeah,
and lanes
Think
will
from
be
a safety
designated.
perspective.
Yeah, and you can see, you said lap swimmers will have, preference during lap swim time, during that time frame, and also then you can get up to 3 lanes. And then therefore, if you say, there's no lap swimmers, then you can take a lane down, but if you show up and you want a lane,
Yeah, it could be one night, 5 the next.
Yeah.
I mean,
We just don't know, yeah.
I don't know now, like, when it was the old pool, we didn't have that many of course. Came up
They
with
swim?
lap swim, but
I mean,
like the whole.
if you're
like
so
in the
on,
box.
so Monday there was
Yeah, but like if you're.
4 kids and me. Tonight there was me. So that's what I'm saying, like, I don't
But you
want.
spend the whole time, like the whole, I don't even know how much. An hour.
No, and that's the thing too, so when I left tonight, if there were 3 lanes designated and nobody else came in. You could do lessons in lanes, but typically with the lessons, they're younger kids, they're wanting to go this way. The lanes are going this way,
Well,
which all in all just equals a hazard if it's all happening at the same time.
Well, we kind of do the same thing when they do their private swim lessons with the swim team practice. They just stay in the shallow.
Of that lane, if they're in a lane.
No,
Or they
don't go
just
into
stay
the
in.
lanes. They just stay in the shallow lane for that private swim.
Okay.
So, and that's how we solve that.
I just think they should, yes, I just think they should have flexibility for the nights when there's 5 lane swimmers, we should probably have all 3 up. For the nights where there's 1. Feel free to take it down to 1, I mean, they'll figure it out, I think, people get into
Yeah,
habits and routines and they kind of know what to expect. They don't have to put all 3 up immediately.
Well, and sometimes then we have swim team in the afternoons, maybe if we have public lessons, then, sometimes then we've broken up that. Lap swim can use these 2 lanes and then they can use these so many lanes and, we do divide it up.
We're gonna get more foot traffic, because I understand Ogallala and Imperial are having.
Their day, that's still Monday.
Okay.
Imperial Law, but yeah, this is Ogallala, are they opening? Or they were not, yeah, they were having issues.
you like it out at all.
I don't know if they're gonna be at all, but I think they had closed the indoor pool and didn't open
Yeah,
the outdoor pool, so
they had to open.
there are a lot of Ogallala plates. Yeah.
So the number of lanes for lap swimming should be dictated by the number of patrons.
Yeah. Yeah, participating. That makes sense.
I think that's great, because then you can go, you can go even more if you need to.
Right, the number of lanes for lap swimming shall be dictated by the number of patrons at the discretion of the pool operator.
Good discussion.
We need to have maximum per lane. It's not one of the like discretion of the pool, it's like 15 people just within that lane.
Well, the pool.
I think it's 1.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, if you're an adult, I don't want.
In a
another person- Yeah, I don't want another person in my lane if I'm swimming and I'm an adult, I want the whole dang lane.
It'd be ideal, but it happens, you gotta, you gotta face it. and also-
Sorry, I'm not. What's the next thing?
I didn't see anything in here too about the slides and the swim lanes, that's just, again, hazard and insurance potential issue. I don't think we mentioned that the slides cannot be used if lane.
In the swim lane or the diving board, I guess, either.
Now, yeah, it's. I mean, we can, but that's an understanding of common sense.
Well, sometimes
They're not.
don't have
Listen,
You're
we
assuming.
have people, we have it drawn out here that you can't have public displays of affection, so I think maybe we should say you can't dive in the swim lane. What am I saying?
I mean,
It
yeah,
happened last year, it happened
it's
last
just right there, we all get it,
The slide is off during.
but not, maybe the next person takes your job and is as smart as you, 10 years down the road, they don't get it, so.
So swim lessons almost always end with a couple of trips down the slides as a reward.
Yes, yes.
Both, either or.
Yeah.
And so the big one more so is turned on and usually roped off, but the other one has come on during lap swim and there's no lanes. So.
Yes, we need it in there somewhere.
And then you're swimming like this.
I also addressed last year, but. Okay.
It's all new staff. You guys have new staff every season, so it's just one of those things that needs to be part of training.
We have the same operators.
I'm not sure you put it in the manual.
I will find a spot for that, so.
Okay.
Yeah, sounds good.
I don't know about the actual, where it's gonna fit best.
Under common sense.
Common sense.
Trying to say, can we try to have.
Common sense.
But if you need to, some,
You should know.
We had to put this in there for someone, there's a reason why.
That's how everything is printed on packages.
Right, right.
Someone,
That's why I read
it says, and then there's a costume, and then you write it.
Yeah, thanks.
So we need to table this for the next meeting.
Yes. Thanks.
It's good, Ed, thank you, it's just.
It's very good, very comprehensive. I will make a motion to table action and discussion on resolution 24-503 until the next meeting.
So,
Emily moves, Sam seconds that we table resolution 240503.
yeah,
Yep, June to June 11th. Any more discussion? Emily, how do you vote?
Yes.
Sam?
yes.
Andrea?
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you, guys.
And then when
Wait.
this is final,
So. Just, I'm trying to write it as fast as I can. But no slide or diving board while lane lines are in use.
Well, the enter, they would enter the lane,
in the lane.
you know what I mean, is the big slide always on?
No.
But like at the very end, like when last one's like over, there's like 5 minutes left, and somebody was.
Oh, it just comes on intermittent, because you have lessons that are like 30 minutes long and lap swim isn't proper, so you'll have the big slide turn on halfway through lap swim
Okay,
for a little bit. Other
Okay.
kids run down it, fly down it, whatever they do.
but that's really roped off,
That part is roped off. The other slide.
it was like
not in
it
use,
enters the lane,
if there's a lot, yeah.
yes, exactly,
Yeah.
that should be like,
You make sure the lane swimmers are out of.
we don't get to use it, there's a lane, so there's no, if there's a swimmer in that lane, you don't get to use that slide,
Right.
Yeah, we don't need to.
nor the diver, nor the diving board.
have it, Yeah.
Because we did that last year with, when they were, because they were given private lessons during. Swim team practice. And yes, the big slide was a reward. Or sometimes they were too scared of the big slide, so one of the lifeguards would catch them off the diving board or something like that.
Totally works, as long as there's. no-
But we squashed there's no, during swim team practice, there's no, none of the features are on. Cause it creates a cross.
Yeah, this is me.
It's
It's an extra.
resistance
Resistance training.
but
Yeah.
others might not call it the same.
Yeah, we don't need.
Probably underneath on the road, but it.
Or if it was head on, that'd be more, but it's like, so that's a. It makes me some very low just the length of the pool anyway, it's really becomes a struggle.
Alright, good discussion. Alright, action and discussion on building plans. Should everyone have a chance to review the building plans?
Yes, yeah.
Alright, thank you.
We'll make a motion to say bills and claims in the amount of $395,525.26.
Corey moves, Sam second to pay building claims amount of $395,525.26. Any discussion? Andrea, how do you vote?
Yes.
Sam?
Yes.
Kimberly?
Yes.
Motion carried. We are adjourned at 8:34. Very good, everyone. I know.